Hello and welcome to the SOMAmetrics High Growth Best Practices Learning Series. My name is Eskinder Assefa. I am founder and CEO of SOMAmetrics. First, I'd like to introduce SOMAmetrics a little bit and then why we put this learning series together. We'll talk a little bit about marketing and sales as one continuum. We'll talk a little bit about sales velocity and high growth, the four critical areas we think are very important for hard growth and how they are related. And then I'll introduce the next in the series here. So quick introduction. SOMAmetrics is a revenue-focused content marketing agency that delivers conversation-ready leads that close faster and at a higher rate at the lowest marketing spend. And in this series, we'll explain and discuss what all of these mean and why today, more than ever, this is critical. So the purpose of this learning series is that we see a break in sales and marketing, especially on the B2B side. And we hope to address that break with some of the fundamentals that haven't changed in sales and marketing over the years and how we can apply those fundamentals to today's situations. So let's say we want to grow our company by 50%. So our company is currently growing at a certain rate, and we want to increase it by 50%. What would we do differently? And what would make the most impact on that? Where would we begin? I think of marketing as having a specific purpose and role within a company, and that is to change the minds of prospective buyers. Every prospective buyer we meet already is doing something that they believe is the right thing to do in their company. And if we want them to buy our products and services, we first have to change their minds about it, get them to think about something they haven't thought before, explain why that's relevant, and how we can help them get to where they want to go better than they currently are doing. That's changing their minds. And we have to give them some backup to the claims we're making as we go. So where is sales and marketing breaking today, especially again on the B2B side? I think B2C has kind of figured it out. They have learned how to use technology to address the needs of consumers better. But in B2B sales, it's a different story. Traditionally, salespeople have been the ones that go in and sell in B2B companies, and the vendors. Marketing's role has been kind of like a back end, positioning, branding, things like that. But sales was primarily the responsibility of the sales organization. And the internet changed all of that. Prospects became harder to reach. They didn't need salespeople for information. They could get it themselves through their own research. So what do we do as B2B vendors? We try harder. And by trying harder, we're not changing the way we do something. We're not improving the quality of our outreach campaigns and our messaging and so forth. What we're doing primarily is sending more messages. The numbers are pretty astounding. 294 billion emails, 6 billion texts, 160 million robocalls each day. That's what our prospective buyers have to grapple with. Not easy, very daunting. What do? They shut everything up. They don't look at their emails. They barely glance at the subject line. Most of it is just never replied to, never even read. Phone calls are not picked up. Voicemails are discarded for the most part. So it's not working. Must be a better way. So the first thing I think we have to address is that in a B2B context, there are two partners working to make a sale. There's the marketing and then there's sales. In B2C, it's just marketing. Marketing has to generate the leads, convert the leads, and sell. As you well know as consumers, you see some kind of marketing message, you act on it if you're going to buy. If not, the marketing message keeps coming. It's more personalized, and eventually you convert or you don't. But there's no sales rep calling you or talking to you in those cases. In B2B sales, that's different. The salespeople are expected to close. However, they are unable to reach prospects because the prospective buyers today are very good at keeping them out. And I say that it's marketing's job to open the door for the salespeople. And that's why it's one continuum. However, that's not how it's working today. Today it's disjointed. Marketing does something and says, we generated these leads, and they pass it on to sales, and sales is supposed to find a way to convert those into sales. And as consultants, we hear this quite often. Marketing department says we sent over 600 leads last month. Salespeople say we never got any leads. The CEOs are like looking at us and saying, can you figure this out? Who's telling us the truth? Well, they're both telling the truth. Marketing did send what it called leads, 600 of them. And sales said these are not leads. So the marketing people are thinking that anybody who downloaded an asset or registered for a webinar is a lead. They showed some interest, but these are not sales leads. And the salespeople are looking at it and saying these are not sales leads. None of these people, or very few of them, actually can make a buying decision, have a budget, or even a need. Most of these people are just looking for information. So there must be a better way. And the better way is to make marketing and sales work as one continuum, so that the prospective buyers start with looking for information, trying to solve their own problems. They're not interested in our company and our products or services. They're just looking to solve their own problems. But in the process of searching for answers to their own questions and challenges, they find useful information that we provide and use that information, and in the process start to know about us, to learn more about us, and say, hey, maybe these people have figured this out. Let's give them a call, let's talk to them. And they actually reach out to us, to our salespeople, and the salespeople engage them and then convert them into a customer. This is the way, from the buyer's perspective, this is the way they see it. They start by looking for solutions to their problems, and then they find someone, or at least one or two vendors that look like potentially they could address the challenge, and they talk to both of them and decide upon one. Salespeople can handle a couple of competitors or three if they are in a meeting and they can talk to the prospective buyer face to face. What is hard for them is to not be able to reach anyone. And that's where the marketing has to step up and make it easier for salespeople to connect with potential buyers. So let's talk a little bit about sales velocity and its impact on high growth. So starting by defining sales velocity, a simple definition measures how much sales we can generate in a given period of time, whether that's a month, a quarter, a year. And we can improve that velocity by improving any one of the three main components of sales. The conversion rate, how many of the leads convert to sales, the conversion time, how quickly we can turn a lead into a customer, and the average deal size, how much each one represents in terms of sales for us. Now, the good news is all three are highly related, and they depend on one factor, the quality of the lead. And the higher the quality of the lead, the higher the conversion rate, the faster the leads convert, and the bigger the average deal size. So the key to increasing sales velocity, and therefore the high growth rate, is improving the quality of the leads in your pipeline. That's the thing that marketing has full control over, in the quality of the leads that they build for the sales. Now, if we think about high growth and what are the areas that could contribute to high growth, we can think of four very important areas. The first one is the pipeline. We just talked about a little bit. The higher the quality of the pipeline, the faster a company can grow. The second one is obviously converting that pipeline into sales, because the pipeline offers a foundation or a platform, and it's the sales organization now has to convert it into sales in order to reap the benefits of that foundation. And since we spend a lot of time and money acquiring these customers, then the next thing we have to do is figure out a way to keep or retain these customers, because it's far easier to sell to existing customers than it is to new ones. And we want to continue to sell to these customers once we earn them. And the fourth one is building on that customer retention and finding ways to maximize sales to each one of our customers. and we'll talk about that. So let's start with a pipeline. We know pipeline is everything. No pipeline, no sales, no growth. The most important thing about a pipeline we need to think about is that all of the key factors of a pipeline, the closing ratio, the sales cycle, the average deal size, all of it that make that pipeline high quality depend on the quality of the leads within that pipeline. So the higher the quality of the leads, the higher the value of that pipeline. Second thing, we got to convert the leads in that pipeline into sales. And that's where, the key sales metrics come in, the closing ratio, the sales velocity, the average deal size, etc. And the higher the quality of the leads in the pipeline, the better all of the sales conversion metrics are. And the best way to grow our sales to new business, new sales rather, is to improve the quality of the leads that come in to the sales organization. Once we get these leads into customers, the key thing is retaining them. As we have said a little bit earlier, retention is actually cheaper than acquiring new customers, and yet a lot of companies tend to take their customers for granted, and they tend to have a high churn rate. A high churn rate is anything over 4 or 5%. And to give you an example of why it matters, if we had 100 customers last year and added 20 new ones, and so we say we grew by 20%, and if we lost 10 customers, our growth rate drops by 50%. So losing a customer is highly impacting to growth rate. And the final factor that's critical in high growth rate is account growth. Selling to new customers is very expensive, takes a lot of time. You have to win the hearts and the minds of those customers. But once you have won their hearts and minds, it's easier to sell them more products of what they're buying. For example, if they're buying 100 licenses, to get them to buy 110 or 120 more because another department could use it, it's a lot easier than selling to a brand new customer. Selling new products they don't have is also a little bit easier. They trust you, they read your emails, they take your calls, so a little bit easier. Upgrading products, yeah, you can justify, you understand the company a little better, you know their situation a little better. You can show them how by upgrading to a higher level of a product that they can get the features that they're looking for and address the needs that may not have been uncovered in the beginning. And also maybe they didn't want to spend as much money in the beginning, but now they're ready to spend more since they trust your company. And finally, if you really have done a great job with them, getting referrals is another bonus of account growth, because these referrals come, the prospective buyers trust their friends who told them about your company, and so they're more likely to become customers than if you were approaching them and they didn't know anything about you. So the good news is they're all related with each other. All of these 4 factors that we talked about. The higher the quality of the leads that come in at the beginning, the better the value of the pipeline, the better the conversion into sales, the higher the customer retention, and the greater the account growth as a consequence. So it's an important principle from manufacturing that we learned, that the quality of the raw material way at the beginning determines the quality of the end product, and it's easier and cheaper to control quality at the beginning than it is at the end. So what's next in this learning series? We will start by delving a little bit deeper into the high quality pipeline development. We will define it first, and then we will talk about how that continuum we're talking about between sales and marketing is a big part of developing a high quality pipeline. We'll go into the mechanics, the 5 pillars of building a high quality pipeline. And then finally, we'll see an example in action to illustrate what it looks like. You can get more information, more resources on our website under resources. We have blogs, case studies, guides, and so forth. And we're going to be putting more of these learning episodes each week. Thank you for your time today, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great day.